Hey, good morning, Jacques. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm talking to Garth Brooks.
Entering his second year as the LSU head football coach.
It was the only way I could get a foot in the door.
Joined by the icon, Kim Mulkey. Hey, Coach, great to see you.
Jacques Talk is sponsored by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp and Kuyon's Cajun Barbecue.
Well, what a treat this is. He wants us to still call him Coach, but he is the Baton Rouge Mayor President-elect. Sid Edwards, thanks for coming down.
Hey, it's my honor. Glad to be here, my friend.
Great to see you.
You as well. And different sideline here, right? But we're glad to be here.
It's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, everything you can think.
If I was here a year ago and I'd say Sid Edwards, Mayor of Baton Rouge, I'm not sure what I would think about that. That'd be crazy, right?
I would tell you that's absolutely insane to even think that, right?
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You had a game plan, just like you did on those sidelines all those years, and you were victorious.
We were. I mean, I keep saying it. I repeat it every time. It was God written. How else can you describe it? You know, high school football coach to the mayor president's chair, and I think it was God written. And I had some good coaches who helped me along the way, and a great game plan, and executed, and here we are.
And I want to say, too, real quick, I've always enjoyed my interactions with Sharon Broome. She was great to us and everything. And, you know, some people may be saying, why are you interviewing a political guy? Well, this is a sports. We're going to talk about sports a lot. I'll try to talk about the real world, Coach. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I may ask you a few things about that. But, you know, I enjoyed seeing the debate between the two of you. Thought you both made great points, and it was good discussion. Here at the station downstairs. You know, it's kind of funny, right, where we do Sports Line Friday night.
Right.
The two of you had your debate.
Yeah, it was one of my more comfortable nights. You know, we had many debates and forums and discussions, and I almost felt like home coming in here. It felt good. And you are correct. Mayor Broome is a very graceful lady and did a tremendous amount of beautiful things for Baton Rouge. And, you know, that should go recognized.
Yeah, and I thought it was classy on both of your parts, the campaigns you run and everything. So
thank you.
You know, we can watch TV, and we can, if I want to be fed something, I know where to watch it, right?
That's it, no doubt.
And look, you've said real quick, you said, I'm a proud Republican, but we're human beings first.
That's
and
right.
I talked about the 2019 LSU National Championship team. If those guys were divided in half and these 50 were on this side and these 50 are on these side, they would never have done what they did.
That's it.
So we need unity in this city.
Yeah, well, you go back to the LSU team. They had uncanny talent, but divided it would have never worked. And we're a divided city right now, and it's divided amongst potentially political party. It's divided in some arenas by race. You know, and one of my jobs, one of the things I ran on is trying my best to bring that together. You know, I had a meeting this morning, you know, in North Baton Rouge with some stakeholders. And it's easier said than done. People got to be willing to at least give it a try. And I mean, that's all we ever asked of our kids we coached. Hey, give it a try. Let's see where this goes. I am 100% convinced and confident that if we can get these people together, that this could be a much better Baton Rouge.
Well, and you've coached everywhere.
Right.
You've coached in North Baton Rouge. You've seen what happens around Istrouma, Redemptorist. You've coached at Central. You've been all over the place. And to me, you're kind of like, I was thinking in my head, like Dale Brown, the legendary LSU coach.
Thank you.
Who appealed to all races.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of black people were behind Dale Brown when he fought for them and their causes as well. You know.
Right. You know, the biggest thing is I learned so much out of Istrouma. I wouldn't be sitting here as the mayor president had I not taken that job, because where I thought I knew the neighborhood and I was from the neighborhood, I had to feel it. And once I got there and I felt some of the trauma and some of the things those folks are going through. You know, sometimes you just got to feel it. And I did at a deep, deep level. And one Baton Rouge is a goal.
Yeah. Well, I remember, and I think this has been said about you many times, why is he doing that? You know, why is he going to coach at Istrouma, right? Where they've been losing and they closed the school, right?
Right.
They had no football for couple years, brought
Yeah.
it back, and then you take them to a place where they hadn't been in, 20 years?
Right.
More?
Right. I had some other opportunities. I looked at some things. And, Jacques, it's never been about me. I've never taken a program that you hand the keys to a Ferrari. I've never been in that situation. That don't make me a better coach than anybody else. But those were challenges. I liked it. And I saw a challenge over there. And also to go back home. That was my home. My daddy graduated there. I went to Redemptorist, but we were North Baton Rouge people. The grandparents were refinery workers, Esso, the old Esso over there.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I got there, I thought I knew. Because, you see, I've coached inner city kids before, but I've never coached in an inner city school. And that is different. It's a different, a different vibe. And I'll be forever grateful to the Istrouma community and the neighborhood because they embraced me. They didn't really have to feel me out long. They took a flyer on me, and my whole coaching career, I've been blessed wherever I've been. But those 2 years at Istrouma, I learned more in those 2 years than at any other stop.
Well, I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, but when we would do our high school football previews and we go out and we'd interview the different teams or we'd interview you after games, oftentimes you said, hey, let my defensive coordinator do the interview.
Right.
Let my offensive coordinator do the interview. You were never seeking the camera, glory hound, or whatever you wanted to describe it. And the way you coached was very unique to me. You were never a screamer or a yeller. You kind of delegated to your staff. Right?
Right.
You kind of a CEO type coach.
Right.
And it was very unique. And obviously you had success wherever you went. You made the most of the resources and the situation you were in, it seemed like.
Well, you're as strong as your weakest link, whether it be a coaching staff or a team or whatever. And I've always surrounded myself with people that were smarter than me. It might not be that hard, but I tried to surround myself with brilliant people that could do those things. The old saying, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. And I believe that just not from a talent perspective, but from the soul and the heart of the human being. And that's what I would focus on. Trust me, I wanted to win every game we ever coached. And when we didn't, I wasn't happy. But I did. At the end of the day, I didn't have to. Much like I didn't have to be mayor. I wanted to be the mayor president, but I didn't have to be to make a difference in this community. It's the same deal. I wanted to win. I didn't have to. You can't lay rings at the feet of Jesus. And there's just more important things. Jacques, do you realize how many tremendous, great coaches are out there that have not won a state title, that 10 times better coaches than me?
Yeah.
We just buried one, the legendary Rusty Price. From a football perspective, he won one in cross country, but they didn't get better than that. And then you look at the inner city, the guys that are coaching at Bel Air, Tara, Capitol, Glen Oaks, and those schools, right now they don't have the resources that some other schools, community schools have, right? But they're not lesser coaches than anyone else. They're doing God's work.
Well, Rusty Price, obviously an amazing career and just passed, as you said. Another late, great Kenny Guillotte.
Right.
Steve Schneider one day put together a panel of high school coaches to come in and talk. And Kenny Guillotte said, none of us here got into this to win championships. Now, look, you got to win. It's all trickled down from the NFL. And now in high school, they're firing coaches who don't win.
Right.
But he said we all got into this to touch young people's lives, to make them good husbands, fathers, people in the community. And that's what this is about. And I can argue that high school coaches are more important than college and pro because at that age when young men are in their teens, that's when they need to be shaped and molded more than any other. And we get some selfish people that are worried about how many games they won or lost. We need people to go 2-8 and just simply be mentors to these 15, 20, 25 kids that they have on the team.
Well, I can tell you, let me try to pull one out of my hat. I'll pull two. David Brewerton, Neil Weiner. David, head coach of Zachary. Neil, head coach of the Dunham School. the guy that's the head coach of the Chicago Bears or the San Francisco 49ers are not better coaches than those two guys. Those two guys could go run those NFL franchises. They can coach at LSU.
Yeah.
Neil Weiner could be as successful as Brian Kelly at LSU. But to take those guys, and it's not all of them, I don't want to stereotype, to come down at the high school level and be on bus duty at 7:10 in the morning,
Right.
and mentor them and work with them and make sure they get their grades and blah, blah, blah. That takes a special man or woman to do that. So much is made out, I look at the millionaire coaches and the guys at the high school level, but high school coaches are where it's at. I'm not going to go into the weeds of the NIL and what's going on in college football now, but I'll say so much as to say that it's certainly not the college football we knew.
Right. No. Well, it used to be just like the movie Rudy. I'd give anything to run out of that tunnel.
Right.
Right. I'll be a tackling dummy for 3 years if I can run out once.
Right.
Tiger Stadium, Death Valley, Billy Cannon, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, these are the people that Tommy Hodson for me growing up, Wendell Davis. These are the people that were your heroes. You wanted to be like them. That's what drew you to LSU, not, well, this is a stick up. How much can you give me?
That's it.
Type situation.
That's what it's turned into. And I'll say this: I am glad that I'm more towards the end of my coaching career, if in fact it's ended, than in the beginning. Because I never wanted to be the guy to say the good old days. I hate it because when I was 22, they would tell me that, right?
Right, yeah.
But it's not the same. It's pay for play, and the loyalty piece is gone, and the old alma mater pride, it won't be there no more.
Yeah. Well, there's a line between, like you said, you don't want to be the guy that says, well, when I was growing up, okay, we get that. And my dad's favorite saying to me growing up was, things change. Remember, things change. He always told me. But where's the line between, okay, you needed your parents to tell you, hey, you can't have Skittles for breakfast, and you can't play in the street, and you, like we're talking about the LSU uniform, they're changing it every week, and somebody says, well, the kids should choose what to wear, and I'm like, well, no, the tradition is, white jersey, gold helmets, gold pants. That's what it is. That's what they should wear. And so that might be a different tangent, Mayor.
No, but it's in the same neighborhood for sure.
And you mentioned your coaching tree. You talk about Brewerton, Mistretta, and then recently people have joked it's the year of Central because David Semino just led Central to their first state title in almost 60 years.
Yeah, I think it was 66 was the last time.
That's right.
And David, we coached together. David is truly a byproduct of Kenny Guiot.
That's right. Yeah.
Coming through his program and all that. And I know he uses an awful lot of Kenny's beliefs and his system. And Kenny's one of the most successful to ever do it.
Yeah.
So. But I was blessed to have coached with David and learned a lot from him when he was with us at Central.
Well, and people made the comparison. I don't know if it's accurate. They said, look what Brewerton did at Zachary, and they built the big field house and they got the turf. And, Central can be the same as Zachary. Now, they've won one state title and Zachary's won a bunch. But you saw it there, right? You saw the potential in Central.
Absolutely.
And what it could be.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of a community school. Is in their school system, there's one high school. It's one pony town. And when you have that focus can be there. At Take East Baton Rouge Parish, it's a challenge because I think there's 10 football playing schools, and there's only so much funding, to go around. And so those community schools kind of have a leg up, on that type of stuff.
Redemptorist, you mentioned it at the beginning. We have people that work here at the station. Darren DeQuano, who is a very talented, has won like 10 Emmys over here. Videographer, goes with me to all the LSU games. I've won 3 Emmys. I've piggybacked off of him. I'm the Luke Longley to the Michael Jordan here. But he's a graduate of Redemptorist. Played basketball there. Redemptorist comes up, talks about Redemptorist. Not happy that the school is closed. Still mad about that almost a decade later. A lot of Redemptorist graduates. What happened to my high school? It's gone.
Right.
Well, what are your feelings about it?
I thought when they closed it, I thought I was going to be excommunicated from the Catholic Church because I made no bones about me feeling that was a mistake. If there ever was a place or a need for yet another school, in particular a Catholic school, North Baton Rouge would be it. And I watched them, close down, St. Isidore, St. Pius, other schools in that part of the parish. So as a proud alumnus, I felt there was a great need there for that high school. Now I can tell you, Father Tat, pastor of St. Jared Magella Catholic Church, has St. Jared Redemptorist Elementary, which is still open, flourishing. He's doing a great job. He needs help, but it's so important for the kids and the families in that neighborhood to have a choice. When I came up, it was Istrouma High and Redemptorist High in the northern part of the parish. Now, my friends at Glen Oaks, don't get upset, but Glen Oaks was there as well. But there were choices for families. Redemptorist was built on the blue-collar worker mantra. So when Esso Refinery, which is now Exxon, was open, it was a choice for the Catholics, for Catholic families to have a parochial school to go to. Big Fuzz Brown and the Istrouma Indians, Big Fuzz and Little Fuzz, during that magical era, the Billy Cannon era, they were a football power during that time. And they were recruiting back then, because a lot of the people who would come into North Baton Rouge to move there got jobs at the refinery, and their children went to those two schools. So it upset me greatly. I'm still upset to this day. I did not think that needed to be done. I think there's a place for Redemptorist High School in the northern part of the parish.
Yeah, because Kenny Giat, Sid Edwards, Redemptorist, Parkview, The Rock, Parkview. I mean, this was the week 10, like we talked about before we came on the air. Thursday night. You were the only game in town, basically.
That's it.
The heavyweight fight, everyone go, and it was special.
I haven't seen anything else like it. Other people have tried to duplicate it, but there was nothing like that Redemptorist Parkview. I mean, there were so many things. Number one, my respect for Coach Giat. We were friends, except for about an hour and 50 minutes one night a year. But it was, and some people painted it, the Catholic versus the Baptist, which the truth is we had had it on either side. Then you had, the north side of town versus the south side of town. And they were epic battles, and many of which came right down to the wire. And on a Thursday night, you said it, the only game in town, people 8 deep on the fence. I remember the last time we played at Redempt, I walked out of the field house, and it was about 3:45, and the stadium was almost full. And that just was magic.
Yeah, tailgating and
partying and talking trash. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I guess now's as good a time as any just to ask you. I mean, you're going to miss it?
I think I am. Right now, it was an insane fall. I was a dean of students at Istrouma. I was the head football coach. I would throw on this suit right after practice and go out and campaign to 10, 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. And we had a great year. The year ended, and then now we're in the runoff, and all of a sudden I'm mayor president, and now we've hit the ground running and we're working. So I haven't had a long time to think about it.
Yeah.
But, it just hasn't been. But I got to imagine come those Friday nights in the fall, I may feel a certain way.
Yeah. And that had to be, I guess, kind of challenging for you to juggle both, because I think you crossed over, you won a certain amount of games this fall, you hit another milestone.
Right.
And I think the photographer said the coach was kind of shying away. He didn't want us to shoot him too much. Did you kind of feel like, hey, I'm not going to use my coaching platform and my, celebrity to try to win the mayor's race? Was that kind of, or how'd you feel about it?
Sort of. I actually kind of thought that the media shied away from me because it was the mayor's race.
Yeah.
Because I think about my boys, right? And we had some monumental victories that I didn't see a lot of media at, big games. So I kind of felt sort of a way about that. But at the same time, with my team and all that, around the parents of my players and my coworkers at work, I kept the campaign stuff to a minimum. I did not want to bring that to school.
Yeah, yeah. And kids don't understand it.
No, they didn't.
to an extent. I mean,
no,
they know you're
don't.
running for a race, but Republican, Democrat, all that, they don't.
Well, after the primary, I got to school, because that was on a Tuesday, and I get to school on Wednesday, and they're all celebrating. Well, yeah, you're the mayor. I said, no. We got to go into overtime to win this thing. There's another part of the race. All the way till I talked to him the Monday after we won the election, and there was a great many of them who thought I was still going to be the coach and be mayor, and that was a hard day, because I was a mayor candidate while coaching them. A lot of them figured, well, he'll be the mayor and come here in the afternoon and coach us. And I had to explain to us that is impossible for me to do, but we're going to find you a good person to lead.
Well, I'm no Jim Inkster, obviously. I can't break down this stuff like he can and know it like the back of my hand. But I keep up. I remember like the first kind of polling came out. It said Sid Edwards has 21%. I said, 21%? Really?
Right.
And then you get the most votes in the first election.
Right.
The weekend we voted for president.
That's correct.
But you do the math on Broome and James, and you figure, well, that was nice, that you got the most votes the first time, but if we add these two votes together, you don't have a shot. So what happened?
Well, I can tell you from the moment I got in it, we were told we had zero chance. And I went and got advice. I was already in it, so it wasn't for me to decide to get in or not. I just wanted opinions. What are our chances? 0, 0, 0, 0. Anybody involved in politics said your best shot is this. You can get to the runoff, but you're not going to win the game. It's not going to happen. Basically based on what you're saying is, I'm going to tell you, I just think we ran a clean campaign. We were positive. We paid respect to Mayor Broome. We paid respect to Ted. And there were 6 others that a lot of people don't mention that were courageous enough to get in this. We were respectful, and we did not have the resources the other candidates had. We did the best with what we had, and we just put it out there. And I tell you, I think a big part of it is change isn't always bad. Sometimes things need to change. I can tell you now, I didn't resign at Central. They wanted to move me into another position, okay, which I was grateful for. They took care of me in Central more than you can imagine. But they wanted to elevate me to another spot, and that's not who I am. I wanted to be with young people, okay? And as fate would have it, let's look at change, okay? So I was a little hurt because I felt I still had gas in the tank, right? But the way God wrote it is they're state champions 2.5 years later. I think for Central High, a change was needed, and I think for Sid Edwards, a change was needed. But we ran on change. And here again, never disrespected the mayor and always pointed out the beautiful things they did. But I think the parish was just ready for something different, a change.
Yeah. Well, you did point out, and I thought it was a very good bulletin board point, was that how many percent the first time around voted not for Broome? Right. They voted for something different.
Yeah. When the mayor came out of the primary with 32% of the vote, and you're an incumbent, it usually doesn't bode well for the runoff. That's generally what happens. But remember what you said earlier, 2 strong Democrats, okay, 2 seasoned politicians. I think the mayor was 58,000 votes. Representative James was 53,000 votes. So the math tells you
it was over 100,000 total. Right?
Yeah, the math tells you that it's going to go the other way.
Yeah.
And so what exactly happened? Historically, the runoff is not as strong as the primary. Historically, I think a lot of people stayed home. I benefited. I think I won 90% of the vote in Central, and they came out strong for me in the runoff. St. George had a tax rolling a tax forward on the ballot that pretty much forced them to go vote, or they wouldn't be a city, right? And then I think I actually convinced some people I got some Democratic vote. I got crossover vote. Mm-hmm. And I think we were able during the campaign to get some people to see that although I am a proud Republican, I am for people first, okay? And that's all people. I said it the whole time. It didn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, black or white, male or female. I could keep going. Coach Sid, how do you coach a football team? And, my team at Central was racially 50-50. Same with my Redemptorist team. Mm-hmm. But when you're on the battlefield, I think it's probably a lot like war, just in that brotherhood. When you're pulling together and you're a team, nobody cares what color you are or if you're Republican or Democrat or Catholic or Baptist. You're one team. Yeah. And I used that leverage, and I think a lot of people in Baton Rouge bought it, and now I got to deliver it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know this is serious to you guys, and I know you didn't like the ad, but I remember going on the Jordy Collada show joking. I'm like, have you heard this ad that they're playing, the woman at the end? Sid Edwards is a big zero for our community. I just laughed. I was like, this guy's won how many football games? But you did say, look, I'm going to vote from this point forward.
Right.
In every election, and I should have done that differently. That was the one thing they really kind of came at you with, it seemed like.
Yeah, I was wrong for that. And but here again, it wasn't like, I'm not going to vote. I consciously planted a flag in the ground and said, I'm done. And I was done because of corruption, lies, and I'm talking nationally, not mm-hmm. the mayor of Baton Rouge. I'm just talking politically overall. I was tired of it. My wife would get on me, hey, it's time to go vote. I said, I'm not going. Now, that was the wrong decision. I see it now. I see how every vote matters. And I see there are people who died for the right for us to vote. Yeah. And I got selfish, and I wasn't thinking about that. And I admitted I was wrong. And now my voting record, it's not like I never voted. Up to 8 years ago, I was a regular. But I changed my mind. But I've changed my mind back.
Yeah. Well, I've missed my share, too, I must admit. And my grandmother was a civics teacher. She probably threw a shoe at me from her grave the times I did not go vote. But, my mother as well. I mean, she would chew me out when I didn't make it. You didn't make it, So that's it's an important thing we should do.
Absolutely.
Have you ever spoken to or met President Trump?
I have not.
Yep.
I've never spoken to him nor met him.
Yep. Okay. Someday down the line, maybe.
Maybe there's a trip where a lot of local politicians and people in government go down. It's the D.C. Mardi Gras coming in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
My people think I'm crazy, but I'm not going to this one. I'm gonna go next year. I'm not going to this one.
Ronnie Rance will be there for you, I'm sure.
Hey, he can fill in. I just I've just got a lot of city business to tend to. You're elected on the 7th, and then you're in office on the 1st. And there's Christmas and New Year in between, and we're trying to set the staff and do stuff. But we're sending 5 representatives from my team to Washington to represent us.
A few more things. I really appreciate your time.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for coming down.
Yeah.
You've kept the weight off. I told you before, 14 years ago, we did a special series at Channel 9. It was a Get in Shape Challenge or something.
The Shape Up Showdown.
There you go. Look at this guy. Shape Up Showdown. And in French, they call that, the Cajun call it a ponce. You kind of had a ponce.
Yeah.
Kind of had a belly.
There's still some ponce there.
I don't think so. But so you did that. You were doing yoga lattes and some stuff. You dropped like over 20 pounds. You're diabetic, right?
Right.
And your blood sugar was like up at 250 or something. You got down to the low hundreds and everything, and you stuck with it. 14 years later?
I did. It changed my life, that program, and it was a competition too. You were competing. And the only thing now is I haven't put the weight back on, but I still eat like I'm 14.
Does that show up in the blood work even when you're thin? It's like, hey,
it does.
Cut back on the crackling and the all that sodium and the boiled crawfish and everything. The new arena they've talked about. I talked to you about this off the air a little bit. So I went to Columbia, South Carolina a couple of years ago when LSU women's basketball played South Carolina. And on Friday night, they've got Journey playing. And then a couple of days later, they got, the big basketball game. So I'm thinking, why can't Baton Rouge do this? Why can't I go to a big rock concert on Friday and in the same place go to an LSU sporting event? Right. So, Kim Mulkey's joke that she'll be on the beach by the time this is built or done. But any insight on that?
I mean, I'm not deep in the weeds on it yet as the mayor president, but my insight is if we could get something like that in our parish, I'd be for it. It's just I need to know a little bit more about the how, when, where, how are we? It's about money, right? How are we going to pay for it?
Yeah.
What economic impact could it have on Baton Rouge? But the concept itself, I love.
Good deal. Let's end with this. Young people today, how have they changed? Or do they still want discipline? Do they still want somebody like you or your staff to say, hey, look, this is the way it is? You think they still want that guidance? How is the 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid changed?
In my opinion, not a lot. So some of the changes in particular that have occurred, there's some. They're inside way too much.
Yeah.
Their social media is the biggest culprit. Specialization in sports. Baseball is the worst, but football and basketball aren't immune to that. Kids specializing. They still want discipline. They still want to be coached, and they want to be mentored, and they want to learn. And so much of it, comes down to those teachers and educators and coaches. But we talked earlier about the trickle-down effect from the NFL to the college players being paid to it's in high school. And there is some entitlement, there. And it used to be, I think parents have changed. As parents have evolved and they've changed. Their expectations and what they want out of high school athletics, has changed. The transfer portal in college, stay tuned. I see something coming along the way in high school, as well. There's been talk of a 1-year grace transfer period that has been, jocked around the LHSAA.
Well, it just seems like, not to interrupt you, but just doing highlights of high school, it seems like this kid was at this school last year, now he's at this school. It seems like it's going on pretty regularly.
Right. I'd actually be for the one-time transfer rule. I'd be good with it because it's happening. It's been happening, a long, long time. But the kids themselves, they're still kids. When the kids come out of the womb, they're still children. So the times have changed, the culture has changed, and parents' expectations of that athletic program and that coach have changed more than the kids have.
What it used to be, listen to your coach.
That's it.
And now it may be more like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
That guy's an idiot. I know it.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with you on the social. Look, social media is wonderful in so many ways. You can connect with people instantaneously. For me, you can break news immediately. But the bullies who the kid in the game shoots an air ball and they're going to put it on social media and embarrass a kid who has the guts to go out and do something, that's going to scare somebody else to say, I don't want to go play sports because I might get embarrassed by my friends or something like that.
Right. It's the competitive side of it's strange. I'll have kids that won't run track because they don't want to look bad.
Yeah.
Okay? And because if you're an offensive guard in football, you could have a bad game and nobody knows it. But if you're out there on that track or you're wrestling, a lot of those sports, they're like
more individual sports.
Right. Individual sports, more kids are shying away from that unless they're just elite.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add? I appreciate you coming down. I'm sure someone was going to tell me I just went way too easy on you. I should have just really, or whatever. I'm not a political person.
Right.
I don't live in the real world. I live in the sports world. But same things apply in the sports world. Work hard, make your way to the top, and you be a state champion and a mayor one day.
That's it. If it can happen to this old bald-headed guy, it can happen to anybody.
You're 62, and so we won't close the book on coaching totally. But, I mean, I remember Kip Holden was our mayor a long time.
12 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What is, see, this is how stupid I am. What's the rule on that? How long could you be the mayor?
3 terms,
3
12
terms.
years.
Okay,
Right.
so Kip won 3 times.
Right.
I remember when he won, I think it was 2004 or 5, around that time.
been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So you would be 74 if
Right.
you won 3 times.
Right. Let me tell you how I feel about that. Okay, here comes the coaching part in me. So I'm playing Tara this Friday, but you're asking me about
Yeah.
the Bel Air game, which is the next Friday. Okay. And look, I've already had people hit me up. Hey, are you going to run? I've been there 4 days.
Right.
You know, are you going to run again? If I'm thinking about running again,
Yeah.
then who am I thinking about? Me.
Right.
That ain't why I took the job.
Yeah.
I'm worried about making Baton Rouge better this afternoon when I get back to City Hall. That's just who I am. 4 years will come and we'll figure it out.
Sure.
But right now, we working today.
All right. Well, it's a huge story that you're the mayor, but to me, it's a huge story that Sid Edwards is not coaching this fall. So that's the way I look at it to an extent.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. It really is.
Yeah. Well, look, congratulations. Thanks for all your time.
Hey, my
Appreciate
honor.
it.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, enjoyed it very much. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you next time.